Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click that like button and subscribe. Nobody starts at the finish line. You have to start somewhere. In order for you to get to where you're going, to meet that destination, you can't think that you're going to get there instantly. Welcome to another episode of the Mr. Mindful Minute podcast, where we touch on different things of different topics on how we could go from a nothing place to a something place. And today we are talking about having a kingdom mentality, having a heart of greatness. And so I have my good brother. Look, I'm going to let him actually introduce himself because he can do it better than I am. Please tell everybody who you are.
Hey, I'm Chef Childofaking, your motivational coach, your kingdom influencer. See, my gift is I speak what souls don't know how to put into words. And I'm here with my brother who is constantly sharpening me. And we're going to talk about kingdom because I'm the kingdom influencer.
Man, listen, it has been something very enlightening, very amazing to see how the aspect of kingdom mentality actually goes with all of the affirmations, right? Goes with doing the hard work, right? Really goes with knowing thyself. So I just want to know, where did the aspect of kingdom mentality actually come from?
Well, I think when people think kingdom, they automatically think crowns and they think castles and they think opulence. And they don't really understand when you break the word down, king, dome. This is your dome. Now, who is the king? So my objective is, when it came from I was studying, I wanted to understand what kingdom was. I wanted to understand certain levels of theology that I was taught from adolescence. I was challenging what I was taught. But the one thing that stayed consistent was kingdom was being taught in everything. And so once I really got into it, I realized, hold on, this is my dome. God calls me the king, but I'm not running my dome. So I had to start checking the king in me and figure out how I can run the dome in me. That way I can stop making bad or mindless decisions, and I need to be making mindful decisions.
Now, see, a lot of times, we have a certain aspect of what we think we should be doing. And then once we start getting certain information, and it helps us come to the realization that we have to do everything mentally. Like, there's nothing that we could possibly do physically without doing it mentally. And how do we actually get maximum results? Well, you can't lose energy anywhere. You have to make sure everything that you do is going to the end goal. So now you're purposely moving. And so, like, I hear you talk about purpose all the time. And so obviously, knowing about the kingdom mentality, you have to have purpose. So, like, where did knowing your purpose actually start lining up with the kingdom mentality?
I think ultimately, so once I understood that I had to be the king in my dome, I had to understand the gifts that the king had. And so once I started exploring the gifts that the king had, and so that was the gifts that specifically God gave me that I do effortlessly. And once I understood the gifts that I had, I understand that these gifts don't have to compete with anyone else. I only have to make them greater for me to utilize. Like sharpening the saw with the 7 habits of effective people. When they're talking about sharpening the saw, I need to make it sharpen up that way when I cut. You get what I'm saying? You might, I'm a chef, so cutting with certain people, their blades might be a little dull, but they got comfortable to cutting with a dull blade. And so when you sharpen it up, they might cut themselves, even though you adjusted the equipment to do the job quicker. It's not in the habit that they're used to doing the job.
Oh, okay, hold up. Now, here's the thing. I always say the comfort zone is the danger zone. And so you just said you get comfortable with using something that's dull. So what if you don't even realize that it has gotten dull because you're so used to actually using that, and now you get it sharpened, or you get around somebody that actually starts sharpening it? Does that mean that you should just allow it to go back to being dull?
No, you should never not allow it to go back to being dull. What you do is you hone your knife. And what you do is you pay attention to your positioning. As a chef, we hold our hands a specific way, and we hold the knives directly on our hands, and we cut. So every time I'm feeling where the knife is going. The problem is we're not pressed up against something close enough to feel the process of what we're running up against to guide it to where it's going. So, yeah, we want to sharpen up the knife because we want to be able to effectively get through things. So the dull knife can still cut us too, because now we put in more pressure, and and what happens when you put pressure? You can slip up.
Okay. Now that's, you talking about, like, now you got it. You actually are saying that you're using more force.
Mm-hmm.
So you're losing power. You're losing, it's wasted energy.
It's wasted energy.
Because you didn't actually have to use all that force. If you did what was necessary to sharpen your tool, which is yourself, which is your mind, which is your kingdom, once you actually start sharpening that, it's effortlessly.
It's effortless. Spend more time on sharpening the blade than focusing on what you're going to cut. Spend more time on sharpening your mind than focusing on how people are going to understand you. Because in misunderstanding, as long as you have understanding of yourself, you don't have to worry about being lost in yourself. And as kings, we want to be able to orchestrate in the principles of our understanding for our kingdom. And I believe there's 3 parts to a king, and I call it the soul factor. It's your mind, it's your emotions, and it's your heart. And if you can align those 3, because the Bible talks about God judging the heart of the king. And I say that to say, in the heart is where the treasures lies. It's where things begin to brew. In the mind is where we begin to paint the picture. In our emotions is where we get to feel the pictures. And in our actions is where we create the pictures. So we have to be careful what we have in our heart, because it goes to all these different places, and if it's unbalanced, it will actually have our soul in a broken state.
Okay.
And so the objective is to balance the emotions, the energy in motion. Like you keep talking about energy. Where are you putting your energy? That means an emotion identified that location for you. That means now that the emotion identified the location, how did it get to your mind? What did you feel in your heart? So when you talk about kingdom, you got to deal with those 3 all the time: the heart, the mind, and the emotions. And it's the balancing of them. Because that's the soul effect. That's the soul effect. And that's why you want to be the king in your dome. Because when you're the king in your dome, you're actually sitting there and you're pointing out, no, this don't belong. You said that earlier when we had a conversation, you was like, people need to learn how to block out certain energies. And that's what you do. This don't belong. This don't belong. This don't belong. This won't. And you push it out.
Okay, so that's very, very interesting, because you started talking about painting mental pictures. And when we paint these pictures, now the visualization that we have, we actually can say, this is what the steps that I'm going to do to make this picture that I just painted a reality. Now, the problem with that is, what if the picture that we are painting in our mind is false? So now everything that we start doing is going towards a false picture that we just painted. So now our reality is false. So how do we actually take the action steps to make sure the picture that we're painting in our mind is not a false reality?
If it's not beautiful in your heart, don't paint the picture that comes to your mind. If it's not a beautiful thing in your heart, then it won't be a beautiful image in your mind, and it won't even be beautiful to actually create out the action. You can already kind of feel torment in your gut, in your heart. You can feel it. You can feel hurt. You can feel frustration. Why would you allow that to paint the picture that whatever individual or situation is trying to make you feel. So what you do is, what I would suggest I would do is you take a moment to clear your mind, and don't worry about thoughts popping up. Focus on your breath for about 30 seconds. When you focus on your breath, you give yourself a chance to separate from the feeling of that moment.
Okay.
So the objective is to sit in the count of the breath and the feel of the breath. That way you can separate from the feeling of the moment. And as soon as you feel the separation from that feeling, follow the feeling of separation from that negative moment. It doesn't mean that the moment goes away. You separate from it. Because sometimes you might have to come back and deal with it. A lot of times we think just because we don't want to deal with certain things at the moment that it doesn't have to get dealt with. I believe pain is the identification of what you're supposed to go and tend to. So if we feel a pain in our heart or a pain in our emotions, heart like, oh, I'm hurting. And then it's telling our minds, we hurt because of this. And it's like, hold on, what do I need to tend to? What made me hurt? What made me frustrated? Was it when I dated my ex, was it the way she talked to me? And why did the way she talked to me affect me that way? What allowed me to give that type of power that she can have that kind of effect to disrespect me or get to a place to make me hurt? And why am I not? How can I build up better in that area?
Mm-hmm.
So it just gives me all those. I understand that if I cut myself as a chef, I have plenty of cuts. The moment I cut myself, it tells me. So that dull blade, that sharp blade, I can cut myself with either one. But whenever I cut myself, it tells me, pain says, go right here. It's bleeding. We're hurt. Close us up. And that's what life is doing. Life is really just exposing us to things we need to walk into and to things we need to close up. I really don't believe, honestly, and I'll say this, like it's a good or bad, right or wrong, is a decision by decision thing, because a bad decision can be the right decision in the wrong situation.
And I say that. Like I say, I have no merit on identifying what right or wrong is, because things that I thought were right actually ended up really bad for me, and things that were quote unquote bad for me, they ended up turning out to be some of the best things that ever happened to me. And so like I just want to touch back on something that you said about painting. And so the one thing that was popping up in my head was, you shouldn't paint a full canvas with one color.
No.
And so when we have situations that happen in our lives, or somebody do something to us, we're now painting a full picture from that one event.
Well, it's not even that one event. It's that you got to think, people, when they were literally raised with one color. Like, so who raised you? You are a product of the people that raised you, regardless of what you think you should be.
Okay.
So people have been painting with the colors they've been given. These colors have been passed down generation to generation. A lot of us don't know how to go get new colors. We don't know how to go grab new experiences. A lot of the people from where we come from are limited to the habits of their environment.
Right.
So they only know to pick up that's like blue. I'm on blue all the time. So they only paint the pictures with blue. And what it is it's this transfer of hurt, transfer of frustration. That's why you only see a single color in certain communities. People don't want to have an objective opinion. People don't want to speak on the opposing side of things. I don't want to be the one that's red when everyone else is blue. And because we all grew up blue, and my grandfather was blue, and my dad was blue, and everyone. But everything about your personality is red and fiery and amazing. And this situation actually calls for yellows and blues, but people are so used to not painting with any color they're used to being blue.
So, because of our environment, because of how we're raised, and we become conditioned, right? And so now, if my mom was blue, or my daddy was blue, But if both parents weren't in my life, or even if both parents were in my life, right? Mommy was blue, daddy was blue. So automatically I became blue. But as you said, my personality resonates with red.
Mm-hmm.
So do I shy away from that? Do I actually say, let me hold to who I am? And the answer is yes, because as you're saying, being so comfortable with self,
Mm-hmm.
it has nothing to do with anybody else.
Nothing, nobody.
Like your purpose and your greatness doesn't have anything to do with your parents. It doesn't have anything to do with your friends. It doesn't have anything to do with your spouse. Your purpose and your greatness, you actually having full control of your kingdom, as you're saying, has everything to do with you walking fully and confident in who you are. I like that.
Yeah, because if you have to have purpose to even understand kingdom, because if you don't have a purpose, like, what are you building for? What are you building for? So once you discover that thing that God called you to, that thing that makes you, it's that thing that comes out of you and exudes out of you, you follow that. And you don't build on what nobody else thinks. You don't build on how nobody else feels. You understand that you have to stand 10 toes down with your purpose. And purpose will position you. I tell people, I love the quote when it says, your gift will make room for you. But I want to know what you're going to do once you get in the room and stay in it. Did you bring purpose with you, or did you just bring your gift? Like, did you just bring the ticket with your gift to get in there? Did you hone your gift? Did you sharpen it? Or are you going there throwing around a dull gift? You get what I'm saying? Because when you can get in the room, it'll bring you before great men. But how do you maintain their attention with greatness? So I realize you learn greatness by understanding, by searching for purpose. And understand that you have to be the one to drive this car. You got to be the king in your dome. We got to stop letting people get in the driver's seat and people sit and pretend to be king on our thrones. Because what happens is you come in our dome, you move everything around, we get confused. You start driving our vehicle and riding us to another place, and we end up in destinations we never belong, and places never belong, because I allowed you to sit in the seat of the king. So you thought you had authority in me, and we lose ourselves by giving someone else authority over us. And I believe when I tell people, teach and encourage people to be the king in their dome, I'm just encouraging them to grab the authority back for themselves as individuals. That way they can walk into the fullness of what they really want. You can't be full until you sit in the king in your dome.
And see, I agree with that, because how I feel now, I always say, keep your power, right? And a lot of times we give our power away to people, to circumstances, to situations that happen, and we may step outside of ourselves. And so when you gave your power, when you allow somebody to come to you with unfavorable information and you blew up, well, you just gave your power away. But in actually losing your power is weakness. Retaining your power, keeping your power, is where the strength comes in. So that's where you have a person that's just calm and collected, and they're like, no, it's cool. They can do what they're doing. I don't have to feed into that. Now, it's not saying that you allow people to manipulate you. It doesn't say that you allow people to mistreat you in some type of way. And what you're saying is, once we actually take that authority of who we are, you're again speaking of ownership. Ownership of self. It has nothing to do with anybody else, nothing to do with what they did, how they did it. And in reality, what happened was for you. It wasn't to you, it was for you. Because now you have the ability to taking full control of how you respond and what you do with that energy.
And what I love, what we get to do is, I thank God for growth. Because now when you really become the king in your dome, you get to still look at the habits of the flesh and still understand how those things move and make wisdom decisions. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. So now you can apply what you've learned from all the situations before, and as they're reintroduced, no matter how they come, that's what you can stand in. You stand in the strength of understanding that you can conquer that situation.
Okay. So we spoke of this earlier, just talking about implementation, right? Knowledge, implementation, results. So if we have knowledge, but we don't have any results, that's because we may not have any implementation. Well, maybe we have implementation and we're still not getting any results. Well, that means the knowledge that we have is useless. So we have to be willing to get out of the comfort zone, as you said, sharpen the blade, and be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because there's growth in being uncomfortable. Nobody grows from, like, even with working out. You can do the same workouts all the time, and initially you'll get some muscles, you'll lose some weight, but over time you'll plateau. There's no growth. You're not changing up. You're not doing anything that is causing friction, right? And so we know that some of the most beautifulest things comes from friction. You look at diamonds, that comes from friction.
Pressure.
Look at pearls, friction and pressure. So the beautiful things that we actually want for ourselves, being ourselves, our kingdom, right? King of our dome, we actually have to be willing to accept friction in order to get growth. We have to be willing to accept pressure in order to get growth.
And let's understand, when we say friction, we're not just talking about, let's change that word to connection, kingdom alliance, because that's what we're doing now. You're the king of your dome, I'm the king of my dome, and we are aligning our kingdoms that way. This is what that way when you're ready to go to war, guess what? Hey, I need your kingdom to come, and I need the people that are willing to go with your kingdom to come help me in this next step. So when we meet other men and as men and women who are in their queendom, what we do is we create kingdom alliance when we say, hey, I have something in my kingdom that can benefit yours, and you have something that can benefit mine, and we're constantly encouraging each other. No, stay in your seat. No, stay on your post. No, let me tell you how you sharpen your saw. Like, if you know people, we need to, how do we sharpen it? That's what I want to say. We read. And if you can't read, I'm going to give you a trick. This is how I read multiple books a week. I pick out the books I want to read. I find the audio, and I like copies, and I'll literally read it with the audio. That way I know how many hours I gotta read. And then knowing how many hours I gotta read, now I dedicate those hours specifically to reading. And I know that I'm reading with this book, so after I read it that initial time, I know I got a book for 4 hours. Boom, 4 hours, boom. Then when I go read it, I'll highlight everything. When I go read it again, I'm only reading all the highlighted versions of the things that stuck out to me. And I'm embellishing on why that stuck out to me. And that's how I can get through 4 books a week, 5 books a week. So what it is finding ways to trick your brain to get the information that you want. You know, but that was one way I read. I paint. I believe creativity is happiness. I believe that if you use your imagination, you can create things beyond your understanding. And anyone else's understanding, think that's where you're happy, because you're giving something to the plane. You're a co-creator, and when we create, it's something that lights up in every human. We just get excited, like, I did this, I produced this, like, and you want, and you, it's like your baby. You want to protect it and grow it. So I just want kings and queens to sit in their dome, understand that creativity is power, imagination is power. Good alliances will always allow you to conquer any devil, any enemy. And we can grow. Like, we really can grow and restructure us and the men around us by being kings. And when I say that, by being men who sit in their dome and tell our flesh every day, no, we're not doing what we used to do. No, we're not moving how we used to move. No, we're not going where we used to go. We're not calling who we used to call. No fear, no shame, no compromise. I'm not going to be afraid of who I am now. I'm not compromising who I am now. And no fear, no shame, no compromise. I'm not ashamed, not afraid. I'm not compromising. And as a king, we don't have a chance to, because there's too many people depending on me to protect them. Why am I compromising with you? Why am I ashamed of you? No, I need to go be creative. I need to find ways for my kingdom to grow. I need to find, and I need to understand what are the strong areas in my kingdom? What are the weak areas in my kingdom? What part of my body do I need to grow? Which do I need to pay more attention to? And honestly, I think once you find your strengths, you spend a lot of time on your strengths. But once you find your weakness, you spend time on that too.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. I think that that's very, very important. Like as people, we spend a lot of time on our strengths alone. Like, and I look at it like this: nobody tripping off of what you're good at. I'm gonna trade you off the team because you don't do no steals. Yeah, you drop 100 points, but you don't make no steals. You don't get no rebounds. I need somebody that's a little bit more rounded. And so what'll happen is we'll find ourselves being in a place that we don't need to be because we're not growing. Again, as you already said that, and even aligning with other people, but knowing your weaknesses. And saying, okay, even though I'm weak here, let me see where somebody else is strong. It's not all about commonality. It's not all about everything. Oh, well, we got to be the same. And it has to be like this. Well, no, it doesn't. Because I may master one side of it, and you can master the other side of it. That's where the synergy comes from.
Alliance.
We are now working together.
There we go.
And we're seeing how we can actually have something bigger than what is us. And so once we start actually doing that, it helps us to take ourselves to the next level. And so as you kind of touched on about, creativity and really loving self, and that creates happiness and things like that. But what if a person says, well, I don't find myself creative. I don't really think that I'm creative. Like, what would you say to that person to let them know that they do have some type of creativity in them?
When you got dressed this morning, you made sure your lace was right. That was creative. You creatively put together your clothes. You creatively orchestrated how you was going to tell your boss you wanted a raise. You creatively orchestrated how you was going to go negotiate your car. When you talked to your girlfriend, you creatively came up with a way of how you was going to tell her the story that what happened with you and your boyfriend and your girlfriend or your homegirl the night before. You're very creative. You just don't want to be creative when it's necessary because you never had to be.
Wow.
That's really what it is.
That's a totally change of perspective because we are creative in different ways. So what you're saying is creativity doesn't have to be you drawing something out or you making something. Creativity is actually seeing how you can actually use your words, utilization, and changing how you actually apply these things.
Creativity is expression. So we all govern our expression. So how are you expressing yourself? Responsibility. What is your ability to respond to these certain situations? And how are you doing it? You can create anything. You have the ability to try to create. You can create anything. Now, what it gonna come out to be? If it gonna come out to be that other people might like what you created? Is it, like, I'm a chef. I create some dope food. We might cook the same thing, and people might be like, "Hey, I don't like that the chef cooked it. I don't like that he cooked it." Everybody not gonna like it. That's why I believe it's just, it's expression. It's your expression. And it's not about you want to be the best painter. No, I want you to paint the way the picture is in your head. I want you to write the words the way they come to you. I want you to speak your heart the way it really feels. I want you to dance the way you really want to dance. Like, not in fear, not in shame, not in compromise. And that's pretty much how I see it.
And then you said not in fear, not in shame, not in compromise. And so you're talking about taking full ownership of self. But the problem is we are in a society where we're so used to living out lies that it's hard for us to walk in our truth because society doesn't accept truth. We see that every day. Society does not accept truth. Lies is what is accepted. And so it is difficult to now start walking in your truth, but the strength in yourself and individuality is the walking in the truth. So once we actually get comfortable with going outside of the construct of what society has deemed right or wrong, no, walk in your truth. Whether if your truth is something that you did unfavorable, or if your truth is something that you did that was favorable. And I just believe that, we a lot of times we get into situations and it just be like, people say, well, oh no, I don't want nobody to know my information. Well, but if you was doing a good thing, you would want everybody to know about it.
Come on here.
If you was having a party, you would want everybody to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it that we're so conditioned to thinking that everything that everybody needs to know is only the good? That is why I say we are in a situation where everybody only wants to know the lies. They don't actually want to live in the truth, because the truth could make you look unfavorable, but in reality, it makes you look more favorable. And I'm just now coming to understand this, right? I'm not even going to sit here and act like I'm like, I've been always this way. And, I'm recently coming to this space of walking in my truth and being okay with that.
Okay.
And also being okay with the dynamic of the relationships of people that have been in my life changing, because I'm sharing how I feel about my truth. Because I'm so used to always saying, I'll give you my thoughts, but I won't tell you my feelings.
And feelings, you're talking good right there. I'll give you my thoughts, but I'll tell you feelings. Because feelings are feelings. Feelings can change. I can give you $100 and change your feelings. But I can't give you $100 and change your truth.
Wow.
And I think that's what we need to understand. People are, that's what we just said it. Society is going off of how they feel. But when you look at the truth, you can't change the truth with how they feel or what they're spinning. What they're not spinning is their time actually in their truth and accepting it for them and saying, when you lay down and you go to sleep, can you physically see me? Can you physically see me?
And the answer is no.
No. So why should I be a concern when you're physically awake?
Wait.
If when you go to sleep and dream, I'm not physically in your mind, like I'm not the person in your mind helping orchestrate what's going on in your head, why am I up here orchestrating chaos in your life when your eyes finally open up?
Wow. Now, that was really deep.
Because that's what it is. It's like, if you're not up here and in here and like you and like we're like our brotherhood and we're really helping each other get through real tough times, you're just wait. I don't need what are you here for? You're a distraction. You're distracting me from purpose. I got somewhere to be. Like I'm about to treat you like when I was a young boy just in the hood. Well, now this day you're Uber outside. I'm done with you. Like you F me too many times. I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I want to stand in it for me.
Yeah.
So that thing.
That's really deep, because we sometimes latch on to people, or we hold on to relationships with people because of the longevity.
Relationships, relate before you get on a ship. A lot of times people don't even relate with each other. They on a ship together and they can't get to the journey. And you talking about a long destination, there's going to be a long destination because you ain't got nobody on your ship that you can relate with. And when things go down, people need to understand that in all ships, platonic, intimate, we sign up to be maintenance men. Even in our brotherhood, we sign up to be maintenance men. And people don't want to clean up. They think it should already be together when they get there. But let me tell you something, everything comes out of mess. And we
everything comes out of a mess. Now it is crazy, because when you say everything comes out of a mess, and everything beautiful does come out of a mess, right?
Everything.
And you being a chef, before you can get that cake to look the way you need it to look, it looks a mess with eggs, milk, and fire. You're like, what is that?
Yes.
That's a mess.
A mess.
But you can make something beautiful out of it.
Every time.
And so, like, I have this idea of saying, where some people see chaos, I see creative thinking. I see critical thinking. I see beauty in chaos, because there's growth in that.
Is it chaos? Is it chaos or just a situation that they can't control?
How about that?
They just didn't do the work to gain. Sometimes people haven't done the work or gained the influence or the respect with people. to even have an effect on anything. So it'll look chaotic to them because they don't have influence in that area.
Ah.
So yeah, it looks like chaos
Okay.
because I haven't, like, you ever see certain people who come to the family and they mean, they do everything, but they trying to act like they've been with, oh yeah, this is my cousin, this, bro, you don't hang out with us, you ain't been supporting us, you just came from hanging with your own. It's like they want to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm. We don't need. I'm just leave that one alone because my brain went somewhere.
Man, listen. I just think that
Chaos.
I just think that like it's really important that we just understand the value of doing not only the maintenance work on ourselves, really seeing how we can connect with others, and really studying ourselves. Because when you really study yourself, that's when you now come fully in tune with why you move the way you move, how you get in tune with when you want what you want. Oh no, this is not a desire. I want this. This is something that I need.
Yes.
But this goes into every area of your life.
Every area. When you said study, all I heard was study to show thyself approved. But I want to say, for me, when I hear the word study, I hear seasons. Understand that everything here is a seasonal being that has to go through 4 seasons. And what I've done is break your life up into 4 seasons. What are some things you want to spring out of you? What are some things that you want to fall away? What are some things that feel cold in your life? What are some things that you want to be hot, sweet, and beautiful? And understand that seasons will come where things will fall away, things will burn away, things will be cooled away, and things will just have this moment to be beautiful and fluffy. But look in your life as seasons. What happens in fall? How do I feel around fall time? Seriously. How do I feel in the summer? Why do I feel that way, good or bad? And once we start assessing those things in a seasonal sense, because we are a part of everything here that goes through seasons, then we'll get to say, oh my gosh, you get to see little bullet points in your life where you can work in those areas. And in and out of season, you'll understand how those areas work for you. The objective is not to be perfect, it's just to understand what ticks for you and how to control you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm the problem, not the problem. I'm the only thing I can solve. No matter how many of your issues you tell me and how much I encourage you and you encourage me, we only can solve each other by action. We the only thing that we can solve.
Wow. That is so true. That is so true, and it becomes very difficult once you come to this level. Is there like a point of, you know what, I just have to accept that because I'm like this, the dynamic of relationships with other people may change, and I may have to lose that. And that was a season that where, as you said, because when you said fall, right? Well, what happens in the fall? Leaves drop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're changing, there's some things or some people that may have to drop.
I believe that if you gotta fall out. Fall away from me. Like, I'm so excited about my purpose and so excited about who God created me to be. I don't care who fall away because I'm a kingdom influencer. I'm a co-creator. My job is to give him the best experience through my eyes. I can't be so caught up in your experience, especially if you're not caught up in your experience. You get what I'm saying? Because then I'm taking time away from what I can be giving God. And I personally believe in myself that I'm like a SD card to God. And when I get to heaven, I get to hand him my SD card, which is my soul. And I can say, God, I want to bring you my soul. And when he plugs it up, I want to be happy about at least the part of the life that I have that I have some of my wits. I want to be proud of that part.
All right. Now let me stop you for a second, right? Because I have this idea where I believe that if you're not excited about your life, you need to go and do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
If there are areas of your life where you just don't wake up and you just happy and you excited about it, go do something about that. Like, It's your life. It's not their life. It's your life. And so why aren't you excited about areas of your life? Why aren't you waking up with, man, I really want to go do this? And then obviously people be at jobs, but everybody say, oh, go get this job, go get a job, go get a job. But what's the first thing you hear people say when it's Friday? Oh, thank God it's Friday. Can't wait for the weekend. So you telling people to go and do something that you are not even favorable about yourself, because you're so looking to when you're going to be off of your job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not anything wrong with having a job or anything like that. That's great. It's very proficient, right? It helps you to get to your destination. But the job was never the destination.
You got a job, then you got work.
Big difference.
Big difference. The job is what you give your time to. Work is what you give your heart to. What's your work? Hard work is a hard work. What's your work? What's coming from your heart? And I believe that doesn't matter if you're selling marbles. If you decide to sell green marbles, you can sell green marbles. If that makes you happy and you want to just, whatever you want to do. It's really that simple. God said free will. Like, we all have free will. Like, we have that free will. It's whatever you want to do. Like, the whole thing is we have to stop living for other people. Like, I don't care what nobody think when I get up in the morning. Because guess what? I'm still trying to figure me out in the morning. I ain't got time to think about you. Like, I'm trying to figure out if my toothbrush upstairs or then my son threw it in the toilet. Like I ain't thinking about, like, if you ain't, and honestly, there's no amount of money that can control me. So I'm not impressed by money. I'm impressed by how I stand in me that day. Like, oh my gosh, like, how, like, I stood strong the entire day. People don't see what men really go through. They don't see that I'm not, though I got my Superman cape on all day, there's times when I promise you I'm Clark Kent under there. But I stand in a certain stance. So I guess what I'm saying with this jobs and with people and career and life and what they want to be, you got to do what serves your heart, not what serves people to see you look good. And most people just want to look good. I want to be presented a specific way. I want to be packaged a specific way. Right. And let me tell you, when you see things, I don't want to be. I'm custom made. I gotta go find packages to me. They make my suits on me. I don't want to be generic. No, I don't want the generic bottles that they got. No. I'm custom. Most people, they just want to be seen. And what it really is people want somebody to love them. And people they want people to love them, but not for them, for the character that they put on.
Listen.
And so we say the word, characteristics. The problem is a lot of people got a lot of characters. And what's really happening is the reason they can't choose anything, careers or themselves, between habits and characters, because once the hood coated with all the drugs and where we come from, or most people, once they got coated and people couldn't see who they was from where they come from, I get to be whoever I want when I meet you. You don't know me.
Right.
So people have they wanted people to accept them so bad. They emulated people that they act like they dislike, that they actually like. They emulated them to other people. And now they sitting in their own identity crisis. Because I wanted you to love me the way you love Jordan. So, now watch me play. I'm doing all this stuff. But he's like, you just don't do what Jordan do for me.
Right.
So, but people would emulate certain things so people can see them as that specific star. And you doing my moves don't make you the same, don't give you the same shine I have. Right. Or don't turn you down. Like, sometimes I need to be turned down. Sometimes your turn down might be effective. Like, you can sit here and just talk about island keys all day and make money on YouTube. Island keys. And somebody, they can talk fun about you that he sell island keys. I made a business out of selling island keys. It's that simple.
Right.
And so that's what I tell. It's that simple. People can make a business out of anything. They can make a business out of themselves. But what they have to stop doing is they have to say, I want to put all the costumes up. I want to burn all the costumes, and I'm gonna be me.
Mm-hmm.
And in being me, I'm not worrying about impressing them, trying to look like them, trying to show them what I got. I want to show me what I got.
Mm-hmm.
I want to show me how I can follow through. I want to make me happy. I want to finally say, I'm proud of me. I feel good about this accomplishment. I feel good that I learned a new language. I feel good that I finally got my LLC. I feel good that I tell people it's times where I spend hours on trying to study a specific thing just to learn it on YouTube. Like binge watch it. I'm gonna give y'all another takeaway. Create yourself. Once you do the 4 seasons, after you see what you want in seasons, then create a school around the things you need to learn for what you picked out in each season. So if you know you want to that you want to really work on your heart because relationships fell away in fall, that's what you wanted. Relationships fell away. You go find things that deal with your heart work. If you want, so find YouTube videos, find books, find podcasts. If you want to be more financially literate, go to go to the For Your Leisure podcast. Go to there's a bunch of different find something that can help build you financially.
So you can learn.
So you can learn.
Study. So you can enhance.
So you can enhance. So you want to find those. You want to find. That's why I want you to. I would encourage y'all to do those seasonal things. That way, when you can pull out of what you get, you can embellish on that. So that's really what it is. Because then you'll be like, oh, now this is what I can do. And honestly, you only got to commit to doing one thing really good.
That's it.
That's it. One thing really good is talk. We talk. I cook. I sing. I dance. I just thank God I can do a lot of things really, really well.
Right.
And with all your talents, like I'm not driving a truck. Like sometimes I'm not trying to be mindful because I'm heartful.
Mm-hmm.
So like even when we're talking, like we both have level of passion when we roll. But I think ultimately, as long as we roll in our truth, it's lit.
It's lit.
It's
man,
lit.
Listen. Look, man, I just want to say I'm honored. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to have you on the podcast. Tell people where they can go to find you, how they can get your services. You a bomb chef. I done had your food plenty of times, man. Look, just tell people how they can actually get in contact with you.
So if you guys want to get in contact with me, you can get in contact with me at Antoine Nair on Instagram, where you can find a lot of my motivational stuff. That's ANTOINE_NIGER or Chef Child of a King. I told you on all platforms, I'm Chef Child of a King, your motivational coach, your kingdom influencer. And it's something that I want to drop on here with bro. And it's my favorite thing. I say it every day. And I just want to leave it with bro. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, think and not make thoughts your aim, meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can take a heap of all your winnings and risk it on a turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginning and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinews to serve your turn long after they are gone, accept the will which says to them, hold on. If you can walk with crowds and keep your virtue, or talk with kings nor lose your common touch. If neither foes or loving friends can hurt you. If all men count with you, but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiven minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, then yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So I just wanted to leave that with you, bro. That's It by Rudyard Kipling.
Wow.
And it's carried me. My favorite line in there is, if you can walk with crowds and keep your virtue, or talk with kings and lose your common touch. The objective is you're nothing but a commoner you're nothing but someone who took the common in you and you took the ordinary in you and you brought the extra in you and you brought it together and you allowed yourself to be extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And that's what King work gonna do. That's how we gonna rock out, because you're amazing and I need you to know that, because it got me through. And I'm gonna just say this: I choose to be a great man. I choose to be an educated man. I choose to be a responsible man. I choose to be the best man I can be. I am a king, and kings don't quit. And I vow as your brother, we're going to be an alliance, and we're going to rock out.
Absolutely. All right, so now it's time for Ask Mr. Mindful Minute. So if you have any questions, what would some questions be that you would actually ask Mr. Mindful Minute himself?
What are some of the strategies you utilize throughout today to stay mindful for yourself, especially being an individual coach, a husband, a father, a son? What are the things that you do to help you stay mindful for you?
First and foremost, prayer. That's the top of the list, right? Being a reader of the Bible, right? But also actually implementing the things that I actually talk about. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't talk about anything that I haven't studied, anything that I haven't invested time or energy or resources in. I am not going to talk about it. And so the only way that I continue to be mindful is that I say, look at the flaws and I take ownership. What are you not doing? Mm-hmm. I look at my relationships. Okay, what are you not doing? Okay, it's not working. What are you not doing? Not they. What are you not doing? And so that helps me to really be mindful, like always really thinking about how I can improve myself. And so like I'm getting a lot better with now reading more books that's changing my perspective, because it is the change in perspective that's helping me to be mindful. Because as I was talking about earlier, if I'm sitting down and we're playing chess, I can only have one vantage point, but I need to stand up and see how I can actually win this game. And the game that I'm talking about is myself. I need to sometimes step away from myself and say, all right, how can I actually win and be better with me? That is how I'm starting to become way more mindful and actually being okay with, look, you know what? You messed up. What are you going to do? What does your name mean for you? What is the person that you're trying to show up for yourself so you can show up for everybody else? Because I believe that it's not real ascension if you have to descend. So every single time I start ascending and then I'm in control of the descent, I'm the reason why I descended, then I didn't truly ascend, because I only went up because it was something that I didn't take care of. And it seems that I was going up. In reality, I was still where I was, and now I'm going down. That is something that I actually do.
Okay. So that going up thing. Okay. So what is, man, Mr. Mindful Minute?
And it can be, any question that you want to ask. I call myself now the 7-in-1 coach, right?
The 7.
Because now I'm going to help you. I help with mindset. I help with mind shifting. I help for mindfulness, affirmation, health, wellness. Look, 7-in-1 motivation. I'm helping you in different areas. So any single thing, like I tell most people when they say, well, what coaching is kind of like with you? Well, we can kind of get coaching on almost anything. I don't have a niche topic because I cover so many different areas of life. I can actually help you in areas of life. And yeah, I may not have no experience in something, but because I cover mindset, motivational, health and wellness, affirmation, that is something that can help you in no matter what area you're in. That's why the building block of my coaching is affirmation. And because it's affirmation, every single thing that you would be doing, every single thing, it doesn't matter if you say, well, How can you help in relationships? Okay, what affirmations can I help you actually say to yourself so you can actually take ownership of you in the relationship? Oh, well, they didn't do this or I didn't ask you that. What are you going to do? And now what are affirmations that you are going to say so you can show up the way that you want to actually be presented in a relationship?
I like that. So when you say affirmations, I hear affirm to confirm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
you know, affirm, like, go ahead, you can do it. Now confirm me when it's done.
Absolutely.
I like that. I like that. I like that. So as a coach, how do you find your coaches? What are some of the ways you go, like, it's in this journey, like, how did you build the coaches around you to keep you level headed?
Honestly, like I'm a big Eric Thomas fan, right? And I started like I really look at how people move and look at the things that they're actually doing, not just what they're showing, because what they're doing is different from could be what they're showing. And so like it's like I have a couple coaches, and once I actually started seeing what they were doing, I was like, oh, that's the type of coach that I need. Oh, this is the type of coach that I need right here. And so that's what I do. I look at what people are actually doing and not just what they're showing. And it may sound a little crazy because it's like, well, what you're showing is what you're doing. But it's not.
It's not.
Because I can actually see if you're putting a show on and if you're being if you're presenting what you're showing. Because a lot of times, like people will say, well, I've said to people, well, just because you have something don't mean you got it. It's a big difference. Having it and like you got it, but you don't have it. So I look at it like this. It's a lot of things that people get, but they don't have ownership of it. So they have it, but they don't got it.
You got information, but you don't got understanding.
Right.
That's it.
Big time.
That's
Big
it.
time.
That's good. You talking heavy.
So
You talking heavy. So what are some of the coaches that you do have in what areas?
So I had like when I first started in this journey, my very first coach, and I don't even know if she's still coaching anymore, Aspire to Fly, right? And she talks a lot about mindset, and she talks a lot about owning yourself, right? She actually showed me the technique of touching your heart and saying how you feel, closing your eyes. Like these are things that I implemented into my training. Like I tell people like, yo, no, connect your mind, your body, and your emotions together. That is the building block of knowing self. And so when you start saying affirmations, and this is what she was saying to me, when you say certain things to yourself, put your hand on your heart. Like close your eyes, say exactly how you feel, not what you think people want to hear. And that is why I actually connected, because she was saying that type of stuff, and I was like, oh wow, she really lived that.
She lived it.
And so like it was easy for me to actually adopt some of those things in my life. And so like obviously I have a business coach like Terrell Jones. He helps me tremendously in my business. And it's like, okay, what steps am I going to take to structure it out? To see how it actually looks. Like when I became a coach, it was just like, oh yeah, I want to be a coach, but I didn't know how to structure out a business. And he helped me to be able to do that. And then like I have another coach, Coach Love. She's all about the male actually taking ownership of his heart, being okay with his feelings. And for a long time, I wasn't okay with my feelings, so I couldn't even express my feelings. And so like once I started even saying, okay, what are the gaps in my life? What am I not good at? Let me go get a coach that is actually good at what they're doing in that, and they live in that. They're not just showing that. So those are some of the coaches that I had. Aspire to Fly, Terrell Jones, and Coach Love.
That's what's up. That's what's up. It seems like this journey has been an amazing journey for you. Not just only knowing you as a brother, as a friend, but like for you, watching you. And I say amazing in the sense that you actually grabbed the lessons of the journey and you didn't become. And I think I'm excited about knowing that you actually make mindful decisions, that you actually consider people around you, their feelings, their emotions, even people you don't know. And I am privileged to know that you are practicing what you preach in your full truth. And that's awesome to know another king that is very integral and walks in that level of character. And not character in the sense of you putting on a suit. You actually wear your authentic self.
Yeah. I definitely appreciate it. So, remember, my challenge to you is always to remember that you have greatness within you. Greatness is a mindset, and I want you to go be great.
You're in control of how you feel. You're in control. You are the determining factor of your feelings. No one else can control how you feel. Remember, you're in control of how you feel. So control your feelings.